All right, good morning, everyone. I want to thank you so much for joining us today as we provide critical updates to our community. I'd like to begin by saying thank you so much to our Chief Health Officer, Dr. Carter, who is here today. I want to thank him and all of our colleagues at the Health Department who are doing their level best to track these cases, inform the community, and hopefully save lives. I'd like to also thank all of our county government employees who have continued working so hard over the last few weeks to ensure that critical services for our residents continue to be uninterrupted, even during these really difficult times. And I'd like to say a very heartfelt thank you to Prince Georgians who have done their part to social distance, to stay informed, and to help us to prevent the further spread of this virus. As many of you may have heard earlier today, our governor had a press conference where he announced that all non-essential businesses will close today in Prince George's and throughout the state at 5 p.m. And everyone is asked to go home, to stay home, and to not go out unless you have essential business. What we mean by essential business services will be those including food, health, and financial services. To be clear, the governor stated that this is not a stay-at-home order. If you need to go to a doctor's appointment to get food or groceries, medications, or money from the bank, you are allowed to do that. Additionally, restaurants who can provide food through carry-out and drive-through and delivery will remain open. But if you do not need to go out for something essential like this, we're asking that you please stay home to help us to prevent the further spread of COVID-19 during this pandemic. I want you to know we've learned now over the last couple of weeks a little about COVID-19. And what we know about COVID-19 is it is rude and indiscriminate. It does not know age. Unlike what we heard, it does not know race. It does not know your financial standing. COVID-19 has impacted every segment of our community. That means young and old. We have young people who are sick with COVID-19. We have older people who are sick with COVID-19. We have people of every race and every financial standing who are sick with COVID-19. And so it is really incumbent upon all of us to do what we can because it does affect all of us. I also want to say very directly, most especially to Prince Georgians today, I know that there is so much anxiety because I am receiving the phone calls. There's so much anxiety and concern in our community. And I want you to know that I share those concerns and I share that anxiety as we seek to take care of those we love and our family and our friends. These are unprecedented times that none of us have ever seen before. This virus has changed all of our lives really in just a matter of weeks. But what I want you to know, and I want you to hear this so clearly from me, coronavirus will not have the final say. It will not have the final say. It'll take us some time to dig out of this, all of the trouble that it has caused us, but together we will do so. We will come together as a community as we have done. And when we dig out of this, we're going to be so strong, stronger than ever before. And so I want you to know to hang in there, that we will be united and stronger than ever when coronavirus is done. I also just want to thank my entire team for the work that they have done in addressing this pandemic around the clock. And I want to say to all of you that we are working 7 days a week, all day to make sure that we are addressing your needs, but to also say to our community that we are thinking about you and that I am praying for each of you and your families. Now, we have some new updates on government operations, but before I do that, I also want to extend our heartfelt thoughts and prayers to the family that was affected on the evening of March 18th. We were really heartbroken to announce that we lost our first Prince Georgian to COVID-19, and I ask all of you to join us in praying for that family. This pandemic represents really an unprecedented crisis in Prince George's County, and it is affecting not only the community, but I want you to know that as it evolves, we are also making changes. And with that in mind, and in an effort to make sure that we are not only caring for our residents, but we must also care for our employees. As of 5 p.m. Friday, March 20th, I declared that Prince George's County would reduce its operations to essential functions only. That means that we are moving to not only take care of our residents, but we must also care for our employees. And so these functions are much like the functions that we tailor to snow day operations. And that means that, for example, our public safety agencies, including our police department and our fire and EMS department and our Department of Corrections, will remain operational to ensure the safety of our residents and those in our custody. I also want to make a very important point about domestic violence. As we ask people to go inside their homes, we are so aware that domestic violence still remains an issue in many of our communities, and we are seeing that the stress and tension that this brings often brings about more and more of those cases. And so I want it to be abundantly clear that we have not turned off the lights. The commissioner's office in both Upper Marlboro and Hyattsville are still open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are still accepting and issuing domestic violence petitions, and so we will remain vigilant even during this crisis to take care of our residents. And so in addition to the commissioner's office, I want every family to know that the Family Justice Center, although closed to the public, that those services are still available by phone during normal business hours. And if you need those services, please call 301-780-8008. And an intake specialist will happily follow up with you. We will put that information on our website, but it is really important for us to get the information out that we are still here protecting our community. As well, the Department of the Environment will continue to provide trash, recycling, and yard trim collection services on schedule. So we'll continue those essential services. Our convenience center drop-off locations will remain open as well for the public to utilize. We have suspended all bulky trash collections, and those will be rescheduled at a later date. I want you to know that the Animal Services Facility and Adoption Center remains operational but closed to the public, and so we are caring for those animals as well. The facility will still handle emergency calls for service from residents, and those calls can be placed at 301-780-7200. And again, all of these numbers we will put on our website. Our Department of Family Services, in conjunction with our Department of Public Works and Transportation, will continue to deliver those critical meals that our seniors need as a part of our senior nutrition program, whose participants began receiving those meals last week. We've delivered enough meals for 7 days to our seniors. We've been delivering them to their homes, and we will continue to make sure that those needs are cared for, as well as we are continuing to operate through the Department of Public Works and Transportation, essential paratransit services, including medical appointments, trips for dialysis patients, and senior trips for grocery shopping. Now, I have heard that there is some confusion about our dialysis patients, and if you have some concerns there, I want you to please make sure you reach out and call us as well to get further information and clarity about that. Our county's bus system, the bus continues to operate under reduced service, but has suspended a number of bus routes, which can be found. Those bus routes can be found on our social media platforms and on the government website, mypgc.us. You should know that the bus is not charging right now, that it is free to ride the bus. And also you should know that our 311 call center remains operational and will be there and ready to receive calls and concerns around the clock. And so that call center remains open, although we have suspended, again, bulky trash and other services like that. For our business community, you should know that our Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement will continue to provide essential review of licenses and permits, as well as essential inspection functions. And finally, as you can imagine, our health department will continue to operate, providing essential health and wellness services as we continue to work through this pandemic. For our employees who will continue to work to provide these essential functions and programs, we're hearing from many of them, and they should be assured that we are ensuring that the proper precautions and procedures are put in place and that the appropriate equipment is provided to ensure their safety and well-being, most especially for those who are frontline employees who are still interfacing fire, EMS, our police officers and others, even at our convenience centers who are still interfacing with the public, that their well-being and safety is of critical importance to us. So we will continue to make sure that they have the appropriate equipment they need so that they can return home safely to their families. We are also continuing to maintain the telework operations that we put in over the past week. And for those essential employees who are keeping the government going during this critical time, they will be compensated with paid leave. We also want to remind our community that outside of our own actions by the county government, we will continue to follow the executive orders that will come from the governor's office, including, as I mentioned before, that he has announced that all non-essential businesses will close today at 5 o'clock. The governor said that that our state will follow the federal guidelines in terms of what businesses are non-essential. And I know that there will be a lot of questions about this, so we will be posting information on our website to give further guidance to businesses and the public as to what will close today at 5 p.m. So look out for that information, but we will detail it. It comes from the federal government and through the state, but we will post that information. But the message I really want to get across to everyone today is simply this: if you don't need to go out, please stay home. And I know that Dr. Carter will reinforce this message, but that is essentially the message. If you do not need to go out, please stay home so that we can flatten the curve of COVID-19. And we are ever mindful of the really tough financial times that so many are facing as a result of this shutdown. It is catastrophic in many ways, and so we will do everything we can to continue to support businesses and families and employees. I want to remind you that the utility companies are not allowed to shut off any utilities, and tenants are not allowed to be evicted during this time. And I know that many of you also have questions regarding your school children. Dr. Monica Golson is here, and she will provide an update on schools, as well as an updated list of all of the governor's actions continue to come out. We're working along with him and our state superintendent. We will make those announcements as they come out pertaining to our school system and our children. And speaking of ways that we can help our families who are in need, it is not just our seniors who are in need during this time. We continue to provide food for all of our school children. We have expanded our feeding sites now to 36 sites. But you should know that there are a lot of Prince Georgians who are hurting during this time, who do not have the resources to rush to the grocery store and to buy food. And so we are coming together as a community to provide with the help and support of many of our partners, such as the Capital Area Food Bank. We are hosting pop-up food pantries in Prince George's County. We held 3 in our county last Tuesday, and we were able to host another 2 this past Saturday. I want to thank everyone for coming out, including our vice chair of the council, who is here today, Calvin Hawkins. I want to thank him. He was personally there handing out meals at the pop-up site this past weekend and has just been on the ground really every day helping someone. And so I want to thank him and thank all of our colleagues on the council, as well as the other electeds who have come together to work with us. I hosted a phone call last night. We had a 2-hour-long conference call with all of our elected officials from across the county. 120 of them joined the call, and we are working in municipalities. We're working with the council. We're working with the state legislature. The senators and our delegates are all coming together to make sure that we are really serving all of our residents. And so we also want to repeat something that the governor said earlier today, and I think it is really worth repeating. As we seek to provide for our families right now in this time, it is important that all of our partners will be supported. And in Prince George's County, one of the largest sectors we have would be our local churches, who help us to provide the critical goods and services that our residents need. And so we ask you to please, not only our nonprofits, but just making sure also the churches, that you continue to give to and support our local churches who provide so many critical services for our community, including this past week, for example. One of our churches provided over 1,400 meals to our school children. And so the churches have stepped up, and we want to thank them so much for the support that they're given even during this difficult time. We are also proud that a number of grocery stores have announced special shopping hours for seniors because we again remind you that our seniors, that although all of us are at risk, our seniors and those with pre-existing health and medical conditions really do remain at a higher risk. And I want to mention one other category that I think Dr. Carter will mention, and that is individuals who suffer from diabetes. We have heard that of the medical conditions that we are announcing, diabetes is one of the medical conditions that does create an additional risk, and we want people to understand that. And so our senior shopping hours to help provide a safe space for them. We want to thank Safeway They have designated 7 a.m. until 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the Giant Food Store is open daily from 6 a.m. till 7 a.m. for our seniors, as well as Save a Lot, who have designated hours of 7 a.m. till 8 a.m. so that our seniors can get into those stores and have the space and the safety to shop. And for our business community, you heard a number of measures that came out today from the state. We want to reinforce some of those that the United States Small Business Administration has declared our region an economic disaster area, which means that small businesses can now qualify for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, which provides up to $2 million to small businesses and who may be experiencing hardship at this time. And we will continue to provide updated information. But to apply for those loans, small businesses should visit disasterloan.sba.gov. And again, we will put this information on our website to make sure that everyone has access to it. But any small business that needs assistance with the application process should not hesitate to reach out either to our Economic Development Corporation, our Financial Services Corporation, or the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce. We will be working collaboratively to make sure we get that information out. FSC is also working with the State Secretary of Commerce's office on potential funds that will be available from the state for businesses across our county. We're also working to make sure that we're establishing a fund in the county called COVID-19 Business Impact Fund. We'll continue to update information about that fund. And this is a fund that will be provided through the county, state and private dollars to help us to assist our businesses who, again, are really facing some catastrophic circumstances. But we're working to make sure that we have funding sources to provide relief to businesses and, again, also to nonprofits and our families who are in need. Many of you, unfortunately, I should tell you that we've also heard, by way of warning, that there are a number, unfortunately, of COVID-19 scams, especially targeting our seniors. I've heard some really ridiculous things, including people who are going door to door, offering coronavirus tests, and who are offering fake products like a coronavirus vaccine. We want you to call us should you have any questions or concerns. Again, and you can also follow us on our social media pages at CEX Also Brooks, where we will have updated information. I also want to thank Katina Rojas Joy from our office, as well as Dr. Reyes from the Health Department, who you will hear from today, who have organized for us in our Latino community a teletown hall in Spanish that we are planning for next week. And we ask that you please call 311 and submit your phone numbers and so that we can call you and make you a part of the teletown hall, because we want to make sure that every segment of our community is able to receive this information and to be able to inform those communities. And finally, I'd like to address, I know there are a number of questions. I've been receiving the calls regarding the activity that began at FedEx Field parking lot last week. And what I can tell you is that Prince George's County has partnered with the state to launch a prototype coronavirus screening location with testing that will be hopefully available in the near future. I want to thank Governor Hogan, who is committed to the safety and well-being of Marylanders and also of Prince Georgians. The governor sent the Maryland National Guard to help us build the site. The prototype screening facility is designed by Dr. Carter and the Prince George's County Health Department and will operate with the assistance of the Maryland Health Department as well as the University of Maryland Medical Center. It is a collaborative effort between the state and local government, and really a testament to the public-private partnerships that can come together to help us in times like this. And so I want to give a huge thank you to our partners, the Washington Redskins, who have been a really excellent partner to us, and the design and functionality that you see at FedEx Field will be a model that we know will be replicated across the state, and we are proud that we will have the first of its kind to start here in Prince George's County. And so I will not talk much longer because I know you will have questions, but I want to let you know to just stay connected to us. We are using all of our social media platforms to keep you updated. Again, at CEX Also Brooks. You can also see up-to-date information on our county website, mypgc.us, as well as you can call our hotline at 301-883-6627. This hotline is open daily from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. And I will next turn over the podium to Dr. Carter. But again, I just want to say to Prince Georgians and to everyone listening, the coronavirus will not have the final say. We will make it through this crisis together. And when we do so, we're going to emerge stronger than ever before. Let's help each other out. Please, please, please listen to the instructions that are coming from the health community that are asking us right now, go in your house. Unless you have any other, a critical reason to be outside, go in your house. Social distance, make sure that we really flatten this curve and stop the spread of this virus. We can contain it, but it's going to require that we do right now exactly as we have been instructed to do through this health community. But thank you all so much, and I'll turn it over now to Dr. Carter.
Good afternoon. It's such a pleasure coming behind the county executive because she said everything I just wanted to say. First, I want to provide just a quick quick update for you all about the coronavirus. Right now, there's 53 plus Prince George's County residents who've been confirmed with COVID-19. Now, although it's a number of very sick residents out there, most of the residents, almost the majority of residents who get COVID-19 get better. So that's the most important thing to understand. People are recovering from this virus. So it's absolutely critical that we maintain the social distances, stay at home, so we can protect ourselves, but also those vulnerable, those very vulnerable seniors, and those people who have immune compromise, people with diabetes, heart conditions, those people, kidney disease. I really want to emphasize the fact that the social distancing is the medicine, and that is our way of making sure we keep ourselves safe. Our disease control investigators continue to work very hard and overtime to make sure we get important information on the individuals who we find with the test, and we make sure the appropriate measures and that we keep these citizens safe and start to slow the spread of this disease down. And speaking of slowing down the spread, I would like to thank Prince Georgians for doing their part. I noticed that people are doing the social distancing. People are staying at home. We emphasize this, and people are doing that. And this is saving lives. So we're proud of you guys. I mean, you've been doing what we ask you to do, and we want you to continue doing that. Just know one thing. You should stay at home, but you have to get outside sometime, especially you can't just stay cooped up. But when you go outside, don't gather. Keep the distance. You can walk without being in a huddle. You don't have to go and meet up. So that's what we want you to do. It's important that you do that. Don't forget to keep your personal hygiene routines. Make sure you wash your hands. We say this every time. Make sure you don't put your hands in your face. Avoid people who are sick, and cover your cough and sneezes with tissue or your elbow. This won't last forever. These are tough but temporary adjustments that we just have to make right now. And while we are following the recommendations to stay at home and practice social distancing, it's also extremely important to take care of ourselves, both physically and emotionally, especially our seniors. You have to take care of your senior family members. Take care of them. Make sure that there is social distancing and that they're not crowded with people. They have to stay at a social distance. Getting enough rest is important. Eating right is important. Exercising, rest your mind, that's very important. And boost your spirit. And that's what we really want you to do. It's time that we together have to boost our spirit to make it through these times. But we make it through times like this. This is not a time that we can't make it. And Prince George's residents, as well as people in the country, know that if we just stick together, we can make it through this. As the county executive mentioned, the Prince George's County is working with our state partners to get a pilot community screening site up and running in the county, where eventually we hope we can offer COVID testing for those who need it. Right now, the tests are extremely limited, but we have been assured that tests are coming. I am very proud of our county executive because she has pushed the message that I really want to push. Prince George's County was selected by the state because of our hard work. And so I just like to say to our colleagues in the health department who've been working hard, keep up the good work. And all of our colleagues in the county who've worked really hard with us, please keep up the good work. Keep the social distancing. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am sure that the Prince George's County Public School community was hoping that they would get additional information about the opening of school beginning March 30th. Unfortunately, we do not have any updated information concerning the reopening of school. Our governor and our state superintendent will provide further direction. But I do want our community to know that we are in here for the long haul. And no matter what decision is made, myself and the team continue to prepare as if we will either open on the 30th, whether it will go past that. Our buildings and buses have all been cleaned, and they are ready to receive children once the governor and our state superintendent has deemed it possible for them to return. What is important to know is that we have been having conversations, and one of the many areas that we do see in emails are about our class of 2020, our graduating seniors. And so I want to take this time to share with our graduating high school seniors that we completely understand that they have unique needs as they prepare and embark on their next journey. And we're committed to equipping them with the tools and technology to continue that teaching and learning experience if necessary. We have made a decision, the Board of Education, myself, and the county executive, to ensure that all students in the class of 2020 will have an opportunity to participate in a prom and a graduation. We anticipate postponing those celebrations at this time in our over 30 high schools. No matter when it has to take place, we will reassure our class of 2020 that they will have an opportunity to participate in this momentous occasion. We know how much these celebrations mean to our students and their families and all who have worked very hard to get to this point. In terms of standardized assessments, both nationally and statewide, many of our students were scheduled to take the advanced placement exams in May. The College Board announced last week that in-person tests will be replaced with online exams. This is unfortunate because what they have done is added to the digital divide. But I am grateful that our county executive and the director for our library services for Prince George's County are willing to assist us in beginning to close that gap. And if necessary, we will open a few libraries if we identify students who still need to have technology in order to complete that assessment. The International Baccalaureate exam, better known as IB exams, have been canceled, and so students will not be expected to take that exam in order to receive their high school diploma from IB schools. In addition, the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program has also been canceled. And so students who typically would take that assessment in grades 3 through 8 and in high school will also not be required to take that assessment. That also means that for those students who needed to sit for that exam for graduation, that has now been waived and is no longer a requirement. And lastly, I just want to reiterate that we still have our 36 meal sites open and are serving students Monday through Friday from the hours of 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I had the opportunity to visit 24 sites last Thursday and Friday. Our families are extremely grateful. Our employees are excited to see families when they enter those food service locations. Students can come to pick up breakfast, lunch, and a snack one time. They don't necessarily have to have their parent there with them. They can come up by themselves. And we still encourage our students to participate in those meal programs. We continue to monitor the services that we provide to them every day and make sure that they are provided the meals that they need in order to make sure that they are transitioning smoothly. And lastly, I just want to give an extra special thank you to our building services staff, custodians, and central garage. As I stated earlier, they have worked extremely hard to prepare our buildings, and all of our offices, buildings, and buses are now cleaned, and I am forever grateful for their hard work. I so appreciate the Prince George's County Public School community, our teachers, our parents, and our students who are resilient and who we all know will make it through this Prince George's County Public Schools strong. Thank you.
Muy buenos días a todos y a todas y gracias por la invitación de la señora Ossobrooks y el compromiso que ella tiene con la comunidad latina aquí en el condado de Prince George's. Queremos informarle a todos en el idioma español para toda la comunidad latina. Queremos que sepan que le agradecemos todo lo que está haciendo la comunidad para mantenerse a salvo. Seguir las indicaciones que se han presentado con respecto al lavado de manos, con respecto al aislamiento social, quedarse en sus casas, y con respecto a todas las indicaciones que se han dado aquí, que todos tenemos que seguir para mantener nuestra salud en un estado óptimo. Queremos que sepan de que se están haciendo todos los esfuerzos para que todos estemos informados. Y hay llamadas que se pueden estar recibiendo a números que lo van a estar atendiendo en el idioma español. Esos números pueden ser el 301-583-3750. Ahí van a estar personas atendiéndolo en el idioma español que le van a estar ayudando y le van a estar refiriendo dónde pueden conseguir información para recibir datos donde pueden hacerse las pruebas próximamente en el condado de Prince George. Solo le queremos agradecer que se mantengan sintonizados, siempre van a estar recibiendo información en su lengua, porque el compromiso que tiene la señora Ossobrooks a los habitantes del condado de Prince George es genuino y quieren que todos estén informados. Muchas gracias.
If there are any questions, we'll take those questions now. Okay, yes. Okay. Sure. Dr. Carter, can you answer that?
Sure. What we're establishing over at FedEx Field is a screening and testing site. One of the things that has been sort of on our minds really heavily is the fact that a lot of our residents don't have a doctor. When we tell them that you need to go to your doctor and get a prescription to get a test, they don't have a doctor to go to. So what we're establishing over there is a way for residents to get screened and then ultimately get tested. For those who have a doctor but need a test, we also want to have that convenience. So we're building a prototype. We're still testing it, so it's still in the test phase. We're still designing. So that's exactly what it is. And it's a partnership between the state, our county, the University of Maryland, and other partners that we can bring to the table that'll help us do this. Now, this prototype, when we test it and make sure it works, is something we can duplicate throughout the state. So that's why it's a state and county partnership, but it starts here, starts in Prince George's County. The reason for that is because Montgomery County and Prince George's County represent 78% of all of the test positive results in the state. It'll come into gear. When will it come into gear? It'll start working when we have adequate number of tests. The governor and the county exec don't want to open it up unless we have enough test kits so that we can open, be continuous, and sustainable. We have, I don't even know how many we have right now. It's so few, it's less than, it's very few, it's very limited. I don't want to say until I check. But the goal is to have sustainable numbers. So if you think about it, if 40% of Prince George's County ultimately need to be tested, or 10%, then we have 900,000 people. That's 90,000 tests. Now, I'm not saying that that's how many we'll get, but there is a trigger for when we do, and we're leaving that up to the state to call the shots. Right.
Don't go. Who should go? You can't say when.
It won't be limited. It's a public, we're the public, so it's a public facility when we open it. Most people who have doctors this won't be the facility for them because the doctor will take care of them. This facility is for people who don't have a doctor and need to get seen, screened, and tested. Well, it's gonna be open, so that could possibly be the case. It'll be open. We're looking for people who have a doctor's note or people who don't. For the people who don't, they'll have to be screened and then determine whether or not they need a test. Now, I should say one thing about the test. It's not everybody needs a test, and the state has been very much stringent on those test guidelines. So we're going to abide by that. Well, we are still like I said, in the design stage. So we're working very closely with our PIOs, our people who put out the press information, and they'll let you know when that happens. If we had the test kits today, we would have it up today. I mean, we would be testing it today and have it up tomorrow. But because we don't have all the test kits we need, we have to pause it until we get enough test kits. From the state.
Well, actually, all of our employees, we've moved to essential functions today. So all of our employees are either teleworking or at home on administrative leave. We have in the neighborhood of, and Major can probably tell us exactly how many, probably 1,300 or so who are teleworking.
Probably more than that now. We're probably approaching 2,000.
Closer to 2,000 who are teleworking. And so the balance, about 5,000 or so, are either working in essential functions or on administrative leave. So one of the things we heard last night on the call that we hosted with the electeds throughout the county is that there is some concern about local parks, some of them that are operated through Maryland National Capital Park and Planning. Now, we want people to be outside, as Dr. Carter said, taking walks, riding bicycles, staying healthy. We do not want them congregating at these various parks, and we do not want kids, for example, on playground equipment. That is dangerous, and so those are the areas that we want people to please refrain from going to, and we do not want people congregating in these spaces. And so there's a difference between just kind of walking out on a trail where you are able to social distance and people who are congregating. We don't want people congregating, hosting block parties and that kind of thing at these parks. We want people to take advantage of, they do need to get exercise. But we do not want them at these Maryland National Capital Park and Planning facilities congregating.
Yeah. Thanks for that question. We actually would have to wait for Maryland State Department of Education to provide guidance. So whatever is determined is one that will affect all local education agencies throughout the state of Maryland. What we won't do is make a decision that's separate from all the other local education agencies. We will all be in the same boat together. We don't have that information yet, but I am grateful that I do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday have conversations with the other superintendents and the state superintendent, and we kind of talk through what this could potentially look like and ways that we could continue to reach out to our community. Mm-hmm. So to our parents, first, thank you. I have gotten lots of emails from parents who said they took for granted their child's teacher, and they apologize for that, that now they truly appreciate the professionalism and really the work that they had to do with their students. And what I asked them to do is to continue to do that same thing at home. We take for granted the ability to read every day. And there are books in our homes, and students can now use, if they have technology or a book in their home. We did provide work to all of our students when we had the one day before we had to close, and so they have work that they can complete while they're doing that. And we also provided additional enrichment packets. They're not required, but they're there to assist those students who want to continue to do additional work so they don't fall behind. You can access them on our website, and we make copies and place them at all of our food distribution sites.
Governor Hogan. Individuals who are temporarily laid off pay for their holiday. Obviously, that's a state. Should these centers be charging people during this time?
So I don't know, I won't answer that piece of it. What I will say is that the county executive and I actually talk about the daycare centers every day. We just talked about it less than an hour ago. And the direction that I have received from the state superintendent is that there will be daycare centers set up. They will be established to assist those essential workers who have to go to work. I don't believe that the expectation is that they will be charged, but I'm not the one who will ultimately make that decision. They are now doing a survey of who could actually facilitate and lead those daycare centers. Once I have that information, I will definitely share it with our county executive. I don't know if you have anything to add. You're fine? Okay.
So I thank you for that question. You know, I think that the governor's mandate, and it is also a local mandate that was offered by Judge Lisa Hall Johnson, that we have suspended all evictions. We do not want people to be cast from their homes during this important time. And so I would imagine that the relief that has been extended to those who cannot be evicted, cannot be foreclosed upon, cannot have their utilities shut off, that same relief ought to be extended to people who are likewise renting spaces that they have paid money for in homes as well. Now, we can get further information to you on that, but that is my general response to that, is that this is a time where we have said that all of those activities should cease right now, given the tough financial times that we are in. And many of the people you're talking about will be employees who are working as service workers at the restaurants and other places who would be earning their income that way, that are shut down right now and cannot earn the money in order to pay their rents. And so we want to provide protections to our employees right now. This is really critically important. So I would say that this is not the time to cast out people when we have stopped evictions, foreclosures, utility shutoffs, and the like. We want everyone to practice safe practices. It is similar to how we are treating our employees here in the county government. You heard me make a very direct comment about the fact that everyone's safety is important. That is not just our residents, but those are our workers, be they work in the county government or in private business. This is the mandate, is that we are doing what we can to protect life and limb, to provide safe circumstances. That's why the buses have called back some of the bus transportation routes. We're making sure that in every area we're providing protection for those who are still providing critical services, even as some of us have gone home.
I've seen in this message to educators and parents who may not have the resources?
Thank you for that question. So on March 13th, when our state superintendent announced that we would be closing for 2 weeks, the directive that was given was for us to provide work for students to do within that 2-week time period. We are not requiring that our teachers do lessons during that 2-week time period. We are literally functioning as if these 2 weeks there has been a school closure, with the exception of schools being opened in order to make sure that they were sanitized and disinfected and cleaned upon student arrival. That expectation exists across the state. But what that doesn't do, it doesn't mean that teachers have not reached out to their students or created lessons or tried to reach out to them through technology. They're not required. It is not required across the state, and we were to act like these 2 weeks were a closure.
All right, thank you all so much.